Today, we are doing something wild. We're dropping a huge bomb into the Mariana Trench. But wait, there's more. We're also planning to nuke a hurricane and a volcano. Ever wondered what happens when you unleash one of the deadliest weapons on some of the planet's most incredible natural wonders? Let's kick off our nuclear experiment with the Mariana Trench. How would we even get a nuke down there? What would an underwater explosion look like? And how much destruction would it cause? Let's find out. Welcome to Epic Explorer. Today, we are diving into the Mariana Trench to see what happens if we nuke it. The Mariana Trench is the deepest part of the ocean, located in the Western Pacific, about 360 kilometers Guam. You will be traveling down 11 kilometers to Challenger Deep, the trench's deepest point. To give you an idea, you could stack about 30 Empire State Buildings here and still not reach the surface. You will join the ranks of a few brave explorers like scientists, a naval officer, and filmmaker James Cameron. But this time, you will be carrying the biggest nuclear bomb ever made. Okay, hold on. Before worrying about what happens if you blow up a bomb at the bottom of the trench, you need to figure out how to get it there safely. If the bomb explodes near the surface by accident, it could be really dangerous for a lot of people. Imagine a massive nuclear tsunami with waves hundreds of meters high spreading out in all directions. This could be a huge problem for nearby places like Guam, Japan, or the Philippines. Luckily, these waves wouldn't act like regular tsunami waves. They would break earlier, meaning they would be smaller and less disastrous by the time they reached land. But it's still best to avoid this mess and get the bomb safely to the bottom of the trench. To do that, you would need to protect it from the extremely high pressures down there. At the bottom, the pressure is like having 100 adult elephants standing on your head. You would want to use a special pressure vessel to transport the bomb, similar to what was used in Operation Wigwam in 1955. The United States once detonated a bomb at a depth of 600 meters, which was twice as powerful as the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The explosion created a huge bubble in the water and spread deadly radioactive contamination over 13 square kilometers. But your bomb would be the largest nuke ever made, similar to the Tsar Bomba. This nuclear weapon was over 3,000 times more powerful than Little Boy, the bomb dropped on Nagasaki, and you would have to take it much deeper than the Wigwam test. At the moment of detonation, a bubble of hot steam would expand rapidly, covering about 1 kilometer in just a few seconds. On the surface, you would see a huge bulge in the water, but it wouldn't reach great heights because the bomb would be so deep that the water pressure above would cause the bubble to collapse. This bubble would shrink and then start to expand outward again, continuing to expand and contract for 3 or 4 cycles. The explosion would make the water turbulent, hot, and full of radioactive debris. At least nearby coastal cities wouldn't have to worry about a tsunami. But the effects wouldn't stop there. The increased temperatures from the explosion could create intense hurricanes, and the turbulent waters and radioactive material would harm marine life. There would be massive casualties, and deep-sea fish could be blinded by the bright flash. Over time, there could be unexpected effects on the ecosystem near the detonation site. For example, after the 23 nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll, corals as big as cars and lots of aquatic life were found, but there were also mutations. So, if we nuked the Mariana Trench, we might see similar changes. Now, let's take our nuclear experiments from the sea to the sky. If we nuked a hurricane, let's imagine nuking a hurricane. Each year, about 6 hurricanes hit the United States, causing everything from heavy winds and flooding to destroying communities and taking lives. Instead of preparing with sandbags and survival kits, what if we could stop hurricanes by nuking them? How would we do it? Would it cause a nuclear apocalypse, or could a bomb actually stop a hurricane? First, let's understand what hurricanes are. They are massive storms that form over warm ocean water near the equator. Hurricanes are tropical storms that need water above 26 degrees Celsius to form. This warm water creates humid air which gets pushed upwards by tropical winds, forming storm clouds. Lighter winds outside these clouds steer the storm and help it grow. This cycle continues until the storm's winds reach at least 80 miles per hour, which is when it's officially called a hurricane. Hurricanes are usually about 160 kilometers wide and can be as large as Texas. And yes, they can last for days, making them something you definitely don't want hitting your home. So let's nuke it. Believe it or not, the idea of nuking hurricanes isn't new. It dates back to the 1950s. Here's how it works. A submarine would travel underwater to get below the eye of the storm. Once there, it would launch a nuclear bomb. The explosion is supposed to blast out all the hot air and bring in denser cold air. This cold air would slow down the wind and stop the hurricane. All right, we have our nuke ready to launch. Here it goes. Well, nothing happened. The hurricane is still there. That's not good. The reason nothing happened is because of the sheer amount of energy a hurricane produces. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the heat released from a hurricane is equal to a 10 megaton nuclear bomb exploding every 20 minutes. In 1990, all of humanity used 20% less energy than a single hurricane produces. So today's average bombs wouldn't make a dent in a hurricane. Not only that, the hurricane would spread radiation, plutonium, and other harmful materials from the air down to the land. As if a regular hurricane wasn't bad enough, we would now have a radioactive one. As it moved across America, it would destroy cities with its wind and water while also dumping radiation on them. Okay, let's try this again with an even bigger bomb, a really big one. To have enough energy and force to stop a hurricane, you would need more than 100 atomic bombs. But to keep it simple, let's pack all that power into one giant bomb. If we released such a massive bomb, it might stop the most epic of hurricanes, but once the dust settles, you would realize you destroyed most of the earth in the process. So, nuking a hurricane is not a good idea. Unfortunately, the number of hurricanes continues to increase. Researchers say that the warming of the oceans due to climate change is making hurricanes stronger and more frequent. And no, we can't nuke that problem either. So, nuking a hurricane is a terrible idea. Now, for our last hypothetical experiment, let's try. If we nuked an active volcano, let's put these nukes to good use by detonating them inside a volcano. What happens next? Volcanoes, the ultimate natural force of destruction. They're unforgiving, uncompromising, and unstoppable. There are about 1,500 active volcanoes around the world, with more than 10% of them in the United States. Is there any way we could stop them before the destruction begins? Could we literally fight fire with fire? What if we nuked an active volcano? Would it solve the problem or make it way worse? Volcanoes are as cool as they are terrifying. Volcanoes are incredible forces of nature that can wreak havoc on our lives. But could we turn the tables on them? How could we nuke such a fiery inferno? Well, we would have to bring out the big guns. The nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima during World War II was equivalent to over 130 million kilograms of TNT. That had a huge impact. Could we use something like it to blast a volcano to bits? First, we would have to figure out the target. While it's tricky to predict when a volcano will erupt, there are some warning signs. Keep an eye out for things like tiny earthquakes, steam and gas coming out of the volcano's mouth and bulging from the sides. Sounds a bit like my last date, doesn't it? That being said, whether the volcano will erupt is still a huge educated guess. But let's imagine our scientists pinpointed an active volcano ready to blow. It would be a miracle if they could work with the military fast enough to try and stop it. Ideally, we would predict the eruption a few days before it happens. That way, people would have plenty of time to pack up and evacuate. We wouldn't want the crazy traffic jams we see during hurricanes or tsunamis. With everyone out of harm's way, geologists, volcanologists, and weapons experts could figure out the volcano's weak spots to hit effectively. Next, a highly trained crew of pilots would fly over the volcano, drop their payload, and get out of there fast. If everything went perfectly, meaning they used just the right amount of explosives and hit the perfect spot in exactly the right way, the top of the volcano would collapse in on itself, keeping most of the magma underground. There might still be some seepage around the base, but it wouldn't be as bad as a natural eruption. But let's be real here. It's like trying to put out fire with gasoline. Geologists warn that bombing a volcano might actually make things worse, a lot worse. The bomb's explosion, mixed with the pressure building up inside the volcano, could make the eruption even stronger. It would release even more ash and lava, spreading it even further than it would have with the volcano's own power. And that's if we manage to hit the target. If the nuke missed, well, we would have a nuclear bomb dropped in an area where people live, or at least close enough that they would feel the effects of the radiation. Not exactly a great outcome. If you had to choose, would you prefer death by lava or nuclear destruction? Well, we can't bomb our way out of this problem anymore, then we can stop magma from building up under volcanoes. As cool as it sounds on paper, nuking a volcano just won't do the trick. While our man-made firepower can be impressive, nature isn't shaking in its boots at what we can do. But since we are already messing around with volcanoes, why not use them for some good, like dumping all our trash into one? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe our channel for more epic video, hit the thumbs up button and share with others.